Thank you. So what is the legal basis to get from data to dollars? Before I turn to the answer to that question, I would like to give you some background on the processing of data and the legal protection to allow for a better understanding of the subject. So to start with, what means data in a legal sense? According to the European Data Act, data means any digital representation of acts, facts, or information, and any compilation of such acts, facts, or information, including in the form of sound, visual, or audio-visual recording. To keep it simple, let's just assume that data is information. Now, when data is being processed, the processing of data is defined in the General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR, and covers all kinds of operations, such as structuring, usage, storage, and even deletion of information. As a next step, I would like to turn to the legal protection of information. Back in 2017, The Economist published an article which stated that the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. No matter whether this statement is true or not, we can see that today information enjoys an extensive legal protection. In this context, there are two types of data that enjoy different protection: personal data and non-personal data. Personal data is covered and defined under the GDPR as information relating to an identified or an identifiable natural person. As you can see, this definition does not apply to legal entities. Let me just give you an idea of how strong personal data is protected. If you process personal data without a legal base, you risk heavy fines of up to 20 million euros or 4% of your total worldwide annual turnover, whichever amount is higher. On the other hand, there is non-personal data, which covers all other kinds of information, including trade secrets, provided they do not contain personal data. Trade secrets are information that are not public, hold commercial value, and are kept confidential. The protection of non-personal data is governed by different legal frameworks, such as the Trade Secrets Directive or the German Act on the Protection of Trade Secrets. So finally, what are the legal bases for processing data lawfully and avoiding heavy fines? Essentially, there are two legal bases: obtaining consent from the entitled person or having permission granted by law. In this context, consent must be given informed, voluntarily, and for a specific case to ensure that the entitled person is aware of how its data will be processed. In terms of a permission granted by law, such permission is usually also linked to a specific scenario and often involves a balance of interests. So in summary, what are the key takeaways? First, data essentially means information. Such information can be split into two groups: personal and non-personal data. Whereas most types of data or information are legally protected by different regulations. Since a non-compliance with the regulatory framework may lead to heavy fines, it is important to assess the applicable regulation and base every data processing on a sound legal base, which is either consent or a permission granted by law. Thank you.